Guys, today we're going to be talking about diction. In another video, we talked about diction, which is word choice, and we talked about selecting an appropriate level of diction for your audience and for your purpose. In this case, we're talking about writing college essays, fairly introductory college essays. So we talked about using middle diction, sort of a business casual tone and word choice, so that your audience will get a feel for who you are, but we won't be under or over familiar. In that video, we also talked about how some folks, when they're writing, try to sound writerly. Right? They come to the page and they're like, my language is bland and it's like really informal and it's too, I'm just not a professional writer. I'm going to make myself sound more professional or fancy by using a thesaurus. And I mentioned that some problems can arise when we use the thesaurus. And so here we're going to talk about what those problems are and what we need to be aware of when we're selecting words for whatever it is that we're writing. So here we go. All right. So, diction, as we said, is word choice. We have our levels of diction: black tie, business casual. We have bonfire style diction. So, think about what you would wear if you're going to a bonfire, like flannels and ripped pants, right? Very informal stuff, very comfortable stuff. You're with people with whom you're fairly comfortable. And these are things that are going to be common when you're standing around a bonfire. Okay. So here then we're talking about if we decide to get out our thesaurus and pick a word. Okay, so sounding writerly is a great goal. Okay, but honestly, nobody actually sounds writerly until they've been writing for a long time, and unless they have the input of experts and folks who can help them structure their writing and better understand how to approach whatever it is that they're talking about. Okay, so you've got the influence of an editor or a tutor or somebody who's helping select just the right word for just the right spot to really tailor the language to the topic and make it sound really good. When anybody, including professional writers, are writing on their own, rarely do they sound writerly. And if they do, it's only after several years of practice and understanding of how to write and how they sound and what kind of word goes well and etc. So when students come along, right, or novice writers, or really anybody who just wants to sound good, okay, when they come along, they are trying to choose words that make them sound good, and they get out their thesaurus and they pick something. The first pitfall is that words have more than one definition, okay? Nearly any word that you look at is going to have several different things, okay? So like here we have a general definition of just the word walk. We can move along. There's one in baseball. There's a definition in like the legal area, right? There's all kinds of different definitions. These are called denotations. This is the dictionary definition of a word. These are the simple, straightforward things that these words mean. Words also have connotations. Connotations are implied or social meanings of words. We have used these words so much out there in the public that people automatically understand what we mean, even if it's not a straightforward denotation of the word. So for instance, if I were to walk into your classroom or wherever you are and be like, oh my word, my boss totally blew up at me, you would go for the connotation of that word. My boss got angry, he got frustrated, upset, maybe he yelled, right? You're not going to reach for the denotation, which would be spontaneous human combustion, right? My boss blew up at me, it was a mess, we had to call in biohazard folks to clean it up. Yeah, okay. So in this case, we have to be very aware of these two meanings, because when you select a word from the thesaurus, it's organized by its denotation. You may, because you're thinking about a particular sentence, you choose a word and you're like, that sounds great, but the word is bringing in a connotation that you're not aware of. Okay, so just for fun, let's take a look at a sentence. It'll be a simple sentence. I walked to school. Okay, I walked to school. That's a boring sentence, so we want to dress it up. So we're going to look at some synonyms for walked. Okay, So for walk, we've got all kinds of synonyms, right? Tread, wander, stroll, saunter, traipse. Ooh, that's a good word. Ambulate. Okay, so treaded, sauntered, ambulated, strolled. Okay, these are all words that we could choose from, right? Because we just really want to sound good. All right, now let's say school. Right? School is boring. So we're going to choose a different word. So let's come up here. We're going to go to our thesaurus and we're going to say school. What have we got? Academe, academy, seminary. These are great. All right. So we're going to come over here. We're going to have academy. And we're going to have seminary. And we're going to have, what else is in here? Let's see. Something else fun in here? No, not really. A lot of people will say something like college. There's usually, when I do this in classes, there's some wiseacre who says prison. So people say institution, etc. All right, so we're looking at this and we're like, okay, I want this to sound really good. So I'm going to say I ambulated. Wow, can't type today. There we go. Okay, I ambulated to college or prison, right? Whatever it is that you want to choose. Now, you know what you intended to say. You had this sentence and you're like, I'm going to change some of these words. And we made it all fancy, right? We made it sound really good. Or we could say to the academy. Okay. Now, think about connotations. For every word we say, we get kind of a mental image, right? We get, many people, not everybody has that sort of visual thinking, but a lot of people get sort of a mental picture or something that they can understand is going on. So if we say, I walked to school, we're usually looking at something like, I walked to school, right? Treaded is more determined. We're going to tread to school. Sauntered is more of a sort of nose in the air, right? Ambulated seems very informal and we're just going to ambulate, right? Strolled is very aimless and sort of slow and we're just taking in the scenery, okay? So every word here has an image and a connotation that goes with it that is different from straightforward, I walked to school, okay? So we change this image for the reader. And then school. When I see the word school, I picture like the little red schoolhouse on the hill with like the bell and the flag, right? Not everybody gets that, but I do. Okay, so like academy, this is like prep school. This is a very stiff and formal building, lots of flags, uniforms, right? Seminary, this is usually related to biblical or religious studies, not a standard like school, right? That kids would go to. College, we've gone from, childhood to early adulthood. This is, of course, quite different. So here, if we say I ambulated to the academy instead of I walked to school, now this is very formal and very like straightforward. And yes, I am ambulating there. And the academy, this sounds like a different type of learning, a different type of environment. In the reader's eyes, suddenly our narrator has put on a uniform and is marching to that academy in order to get a specific type of learning. The other problem here is that once we change this sentence, it's gone. So the reader doesn't know what we originally said or what we meant to say. They only see this sentence that has now been dressed up and changed. So they don't see our original information and they don't see the picture that you intended to convey. Because of that, it can cause confusion and it can cause the reader to walk away with an incorrect understanding of what you intended or what you were saying. And so now they're picturing somebody in a school uniform walking into this stiff and formal building, and then we put them in a regular high school or in like a little kid's grade school and they're playing with like Play-Doh and, pickup sticks, and the reader's going, what is going on in this place, right? It's easy to cause confusion for the reader if we don't pay attention to both the denotations and connotations when we're selecting our words. So even though it's easy just to click and choose a synonym, it is vital to take the extra step to go and verify what the word means and what it can do in that sentence before you ever select it. Now, the other thing that can happen is your audience could be from a little bit of a different place. And so in the other video, we talked about like colloquial language, dialect, things like that. I had a friend who used to serve as a liaison for Native American students who were coming into a community college down, I think it was in New Mexico. And so the individual who was coming in was Navajo, and he only spoke the Navajo language. And so he was learning English. And he asked my friend how to get somewhere in town. And my friend said, oh, you got to go down here and you catch the bus and you go to this street over here. And the kid went white as a sheet. And he said, I have to catch the bus? Okay, so we as native English speakers are thinking, yeah, go down, wait at the bus stop, get on the bus and go. He's picturing like, okay, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, grab the bus, right? That's what he's thinking because he doesn't have access to these connotative meanings because he's only just coming to understand the language. So you must be aware of your audience and you must be aware of what you might be accidentally conveying to your audience when you select those words. Now, a similar problem can arise real quick to those of you who use spell check. A lot of times we'll use spell check and we'll just kind of, let's say I had a student once who was writing about how she had stage fright. So she looked out in the crowd and she saw a cheerful, friendly gesture, but we weren't sure how to say gesture. So we wrote this, and this one helpfully corrected it this way. However, when the essay came to me, it said this. Okay, there was a cheerful, friendly jester in the crowd. Now, if you've seen pictures of jesters, you know that this is somebody who's got, you know, like a wild silk hat with little bells and a silk outfit and shoes and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and the student like tried to write gesture and spell check suggested a word. So she clicked on it and kept on going. When I got the essay, this is what I read. And so instead of understanding that the student's mom, which is what actually happened, was out in the crowd and made a cheerful, friendly gesture, right? Waved or did whatever to show that she was there supporting the student. As a reader, I get this mental picture, and it's just a small mistake, right? It's a completely, like, it should be harmless, accidental thing that spell check gave us the wrong spelling, but this is a serious misunderstanding on the part of the reader. So whether you use a thesaurus or whether you use spell check, remember that all of this is machine learning, right? It doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't know what you intend to say. All it's doing is using algorithms to calculate the thing that's closest to what it thinks you mean. There is no replacement for you as an individual, as a human being, making these choices and writing this essay. So it's up to you to go through and make sure that when you're choosing words off spell check and when you're choosing thesaurus words to make your essay sound just right, go and look at the words it's giving you and look them up to make sure that the words it's giving you really are just right. All right? Good luck with your essays.